up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for March 26, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Tuesday edition of the podcast. It is Tuesday, so that means it's time for a little motivation / positivity. And this one, just really, I saw this and I had to put it on for a Tuesday. And it's not necessarily, it doesn't have a sports tie-in. However, it's just a good message for life in general. And hopefully as you go through your week, you can take this. But the quote was, "We're not all in the same boat. We're all in the same storm. Some have yachts, some have canoes, some are drowning. Just be kind and help out wherever you can." And it just, hopefully this puts things in perspective for you, because it put them in for me. And just know that as you traverse along, that everybody is going through their own things. So if you're traveling and you happen to be on a yacht that day and you have an extra life jacket, toss it over and help someone else. And just that act of kindness, you never know, again, what people are going through. So one simple little act of kindness can go a long way in changing the outlook of someone's day. So just keep that in mind, because there's going to be a time probably when your boat springs a leak and you're going to need some help from somebody. So if you can, help someone out. And you know, as we've gone through this podcast, whether it was the food drive or just the motivational quotes, positivity quotes, just trying to help make everybody better and be nicer. All of this started, for those of you who are new, back with the DeMar Hamlin thing and how everybody kind of came together. That was a Tuesday. So that's sort of where this came from. So every Tuesday, I'll try to give you a quote or some type of motivational or positivity thing to get you through your week. But just keep this one in mind, because like I said, when I saw this, it really kind of hit home. We're not all in the same boat, but we are all in the same storm. Some of us have yachts, some of us have canoes, some of us are drowning. So help out where you can and just be kind. And I think the message there is just be kind, because so much in our world now, everybody is so quick, and I guess there is a sports tie into this. But like with politics, and if you disagree with my politics, you're an evil person and blah, blah, blah. And I think the way things have been going, we see it with sports. Like we can actually have, sports has always been that way. You can have an argument over whose team's better over a beer, shake each other's hands at the end, and then call it a day. If we could just practice what we do in the sports world, in the real world, that would go a long way in making this a better place and making people not so on edge and just miserable. So just remember that. Like that simple act of kindness can go a long way for somebody, because you don't know what's going on with their boat. Maybe they're having engine problems, whatever it could be. Just help out where you can and be kind. And that is today's Tuesday motivation / positivity for this week. All right, going back to the question of the day from yesterday, I asked you over under 89.5 wins for the Phillies. 80% of you agreed with me that the Phillies win total will go into the 90s. Like I said, I really like that bet, and I jumped on that before they moved the number or jack up the juice. But as always, thank you for participating in the question of the day. Get through on the Back to the Future voice and text line. 267-495-8531 is how you do it. While you're at it, hit me up on social media, TikTok and Twitter, Jimbo_Mont. Instagram at Philly Jimbo. If you're on Facebook, look me up there as well. Also, subscribe to the YouTube channel. I've been trying to get those subscriptions up so we can do more things. It's all based on the algorithm. So like, subscribe, leave comments. All of that helps out with the algorithm. The way to do the YouTube channel, if you're listening on a podcast, is Jimbo_Mont. That gets you into the YouTube channel, and then you'll get all of the episodes we get, as well as the archives to the other podcasts, Back to the Future, and then any special, like the Phillies preview or any interviews I might have. All right, speaking of those Phils, it's official. Johan Rojas will be our starting center fielder, and the way Dave Dombrowski said it, and I kind of like this, and I mean, I know there's a lot of people who will argue that his hitting is a detriment. Keep in mind, he's our 9-hole hitter, and I like the way that Dombrowski sort of said this, that if it comes down to the fact that Johan Rojas is not hitting, that is, and like that's what people's focus on. That means the 1 through 8 hitters aren't doing their job. And that's the truth. I mean, under no circumstances should we get to the point where, or that team get to the point, I should say, where that he is the focal point and he's the one that we're worried about. And if he is, that means 1 through 8 is not doing their job. So, and I mean, they have the option then to pinch hit late innings. So I'm okay to start off the season with that. It kind of reminds me almost of, minus the, it wasn't hitting now that I think about it, it was more the fielding. But in 93, the Phillies didn't have a shortstop. And I think it was Juan Bell who started off, and then they had Kim Batiste there for a little bit, but he was better as the backup defensive third baseman. And I believe there was somebody else they tried at shortstop as well before they called up Stocker. So even if he doesn't hit but plays good defense, I think you're in a good spot. And I bring up the 93 team is because they were able to overcome that as well. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. But we'll see. I say you give him some games and see where things go. Spencer Turnbull is going to start the season as our 5th starter, while Tawan Walker gets better. Dombrowski did say they are not in the market for a starter, so they're rolling with the 5 that we got. I'm okay with the top 3. I want to see, hopefully Sanchez can get it back together. Excuse me, I apologize for that. But I'm okay with that. And I think the longer that Jordan Montgomery is out there, and the better I think it is for the Phils if they need to go that way. Not saying they will, but as of right now, they're not in the market. But that doesn't mean something's going to change later on. It does, though, look like there's going to be some rain in the forecast for Thursday. So hopefully they don't do what they did last year and cancel too early, because last year it was like 80 degrees and beautiful on opening day, and they canceled it due to impending rain. So hopefully they wait a little bit and see what the weather is going to be like. It's Tuesday. That's Thursday, so we'll see where we go from there. I mentioned the Phillies preview. Be sure to check out the Phillies preview back in our episode list. I give my 3 bold predictions as well as where I see this team ending up for the year. So be sure to check out the Phillies preview and let me know what you think about my bold predictions. Now, the first round of feedback was, they're not that bold, but some positive feedback. And then, of course, the typical, you're an idiot. But that's okay. It goes with the territory. So go check it out and let me know on the Back to the Future voice and text line what you think about my bold predictions. But that does lead to our Phillies question of the day. And yesterday we said over-under wins. If they win over 90 and they have everybody healthy, do they have a chance to win the division? So are the Phillies going to win the National League East? Yes or no? 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know your thoughts. Will the Phillies win the division? And then added to that, do they need to win the division? I know there's some players that are like, yeah, we want to win the division. So let me know your thoughts on that. 267-495-8531. Get you in on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Are the Phillies going to win the NL East this year? Let me know what your thoughts are. All right, Sixers ended that West Coast road trip with a 108-96 loss to the Kings. They went 1-3. Tyrese Maxey balled out, but he had nobody else to help, and that is really the deficiency of this team. Now that Joe's not out, there is no third option. There are 10 games left in the regular season. How many of them will Joe play in? I don't know. But they do have games against the Cavs, Heat, and Magic, who are all teams ahead of them in the standings. They're a half game back of Miami for the 8th seed. I guess they could fall below the 8th seed, but it still doesn't look like they're going to fall below the 8th seed. So it looks like they're going to have that one-game playoff with Miami. Don't know if Joe's going to be there or not, so we'll see. This, I think, is going to be a big week because they said first or second week of April. here we are now, last week of March, where he should be, I would think, ramping up some of his practices. So we should, and I feel like every time I bring this up, we get an update. So probably, I'm hoping we'll get an update either today or tomorrow on Joe's status. But the clock is ticking on the Sixers. Be sure to check out my boys over the Clashing Conferences podcast. They have a good thing going now. If you enjoyed the NFL, they have a good thing going with the NBA. That's available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. The Clashing Conferences podcast, NBA style now instead of not that they got rid of the NFL, but NBA style now as well. All right, Flyers in action tonight against the Rangers, who are in first place in the Metro Division. Another tough, but another big game, as they're only 2 games up on Washington. It's a 10-game sprint now for the Flyers, so it's just a matter of how far or how much can they hold on. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of playoff style hockey, so looking forward to that. All right, lots to get to with the Eagles. The owners' meetings are taking place down in Orlando. First story, and forgive me if I shed a tear on this one. Quez Watkins is officially gone. I knew he wasn't coming back anyway, but he signed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. And to that, I have to say, good riddance. And no tears shed here. God, I hate Quez Watkins. We'd have another Super Bowl if it wasn't for Quez Watkins. Thanks, jerk. All right. Anyway, Howie spoke yesterday in the owners' meeting, and he said one of the reasons he's broke from his normal protocol and signed Saquon is because he's a special player. He said anytime you get a special player at a position, you need to take advantage of it. It does appear as they're going to use him a lot in all aspects of the offense. So then the question then becomes, can he stay healthy? He is only 27, so hopefully with the other weapons the Eagles have, we should be okay. Howie did not want to talk about Hassan Reddick, but it does appear that he will be out the door. And then the new rule changes. If the coaches win a challenge, instead they get a third one. It used to be if they win 2, they get a third. Now they get a third if they win 1. The big one, though, was the hip drop tackle is now illegal. And I've not had a chance to really look too much into this. However, I'm having a hard time figuring out how guys are going to tackle now. Like I got when they outlawed the horse collar, but this hip drop, I mean, I don't know. It's like, as someone who played football, I mean, that's kind of the way you teach people to tackle in a way. I don't know if they're trying to open up the offense more, but man, and unfortunately for the Eagles, they had a lot of guys in that secondary that couldn't tackle to begin with. So now you're taking this away, and who knows? But we'll have more on that, I guess, as there's more clarification. And then the other rule change I like, the replay assistant can now call down and change certain calls when it comes to roughing the passer and intentional grounding. I like that. There was some talk about the changing the rules for kickoffs, but there has been that was not discussed yesterday at all. So we'll see. I don't know. But what I do know is at some point, either today or tomorrow, my shoes are coming from Philly Goat, and I cannot wait. So go to Philly Goat, check out the shoes yourself if you haven't already. Get a shirt that matches the shoes. They got hats. So go check it out. But I'm looking forward to the fans coming. Get geared up for the spring, for Phillies, the summer, whatever you got going on. Go to phillygoat.com. Use that promo code Jim Montgomery, all one word, for 10% off your order. And I haven't said this in a while, but like I used to say, help me out, help them out, but more importantly, help yourself out. Go to phillygoat.com. Use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, we're going to continue with our March Madness kind of run on this day in Philly sports history. And we got a little 2 for Tuesday today. Something that I've done a couple times in the past, but this one was too good to pass up. Well, good depending on how you want to look at it. But we're going to go back to 1988. And on this day, March 26, 1988, the number 5 Duke Blue Devils beat the number 1 Temple Owls 63-53 in the Elite Eight. For the Owls, freshman sensation Mark Macon struggled, shooting 6 for 29 for only 13 points after having an outstanding season. As a team, nobody really picked up the slack either. The Owls shot 28.6% from the field. For the Blue Devils, Danny Ferry had 20. Kevin Strickland had 21, and it ended that dream season for Temple and John Chaney at 32 and 2. No trip to the Final Four, quite possibly one of Chaney's two best chances to get to the Final Four. But unfortunately, it just was not meant to be. He'd get to the Elite Eight 4 other times and just not be able to get over the hump. But I did say it was a 2 for Tuesday. So meanwhile, in another Elite Eight game on the same day, the number 4 Oklahoma Sooners beat the 6th seed Villanova Wildcats 78-59. Doug West had 18 points to lead the Wildcats. Stacey King had 28 points, 11 rebounds for the Sooners. Mookie Blaylock added 14 as Nova finished the season 24-13 under coach Raleigh Massimino. This was a key year for Villanova, too, because the first-year assistant coach for the Nova Wildcats was some guy named Jay Wright, who went on to be a successful coach himself. There would be no Final Four that year for Philly, despite having 2 teams in the Elite Eight. And I would have to go back and check. I didn't do the research on it because I just was thinking how much of a pain it would be. But I feel as though this is one of those things that did not happen too often, that the Big Five had 2 teams on the brink of the Final Four. Unfortunately for the Owls and the Wildcats, they would get none. But on this day in 1988, Duke beat Temple 63-53, and Oklahoma beat Villanova 78-59 in the Elite Eight, ending the Final Four dreams for both the Villanova Wildcats and the Temple Owls. Tough one to be a Philly fan. All right, and finally today, our This Day in Philly Sports History Women's History Month Spotlight is Judy Auritt Klein. She is a swimming legend and West Philadelphia High School graduate. She was an AAU junior national and a Middle Atlantic States champion. She was the NCAA record holder an NCAA record holder at Penn State and Penn in the 1940s. You don't see that too often. You don't see Penn and Penn State. But she held junior, collegiate, and national records. Listen to this, though. In the 50, 100, 220, 440, 880, and the mile. So not only did she do the sprints, she did the distance, which is usually unheard of in swimming, especially today. Unfortunately for Judy, she did not ever get to compete in the Olympics because the 1940 and the 1944 Olympics were canceled. So while she was at her peak and her prime, she did not get to compete on the international level. And it's a shame. But based on her swimming and her times and records in the United States, she's in the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, the West Philadelphia High Hall of Fame, the Penn State School of Liberal Arts Service to Society Award winner, Philadelphia Sports Hall of Fame, and the Philadelphia Jewish Sports Hall of Fame. Judy Auritt Klein was just a legend, and as with some of these ladies we've been talking about, World War II really, the other ones were World War I, but just the World Wars really impacted what they could have done, what their ceilings were at the time. But Judy Auritt Klein, today's This Day in Philly Sports History, Women's History Month Spotlight, collegiate, national, NCAA, AAU, just one of the best to ever do it, and unfortunately did not get to show the world what she was made of due to World War II. But shout out to you, Judy, today's Women's History Month Spotlight of the day. Little 2 for Tuesday. Back in 1988, both Temple and Villanova lost in the Elite Eight to Duke and Oklahoma, respectively. Just not a good day for Big Five basketball. You would have thought at least one of them would have gotten through, but I don't know. Be sure to hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line. Let me know what you're thinking about the Phillies' chances to win the division. Do they need to win the division? Thoughts on Johan Rojas? Whatever's on your mind, Get it off your chest. 267-495-8531. The Back to the Future voice and text line is wide open, so get through. Let me know your thoughts, and maybe you can get your voicemail played on the podcast. But hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking. Remember, as you go through your week today, we're not all in the same boat, but we are in the same storm. Just be kind. Everybody's got a different vessel that they're traveling on, so just be nice to people. It's not that hard. It doesn't cost anything. Just give a smile. Hold the door open. Whatever you got to do, because you never know just how far that will go in someone's day. Looks like it's going to be should be a decent day before the rain comes. So hopefully you're out listening to this on a walk, bike ride, something. But get it going. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History. I'm Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Tuesday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.